Hello, this is Lisalee and welcome to my channel. So today for the strawberry moon, I think the strawberry moon is like officially hitting its like most full like tomorrow. It might maybe late tonight, I don't know. I'm never like really good at like being precise about these things, but I do know just in terms of the feeling of this moon, we are getting some real expansion. It's good, I like it. It's light, it's like bright, expansive energy. So I wanted to channel mermaids, and I was vacationing, and those of you who have like good mermaid connection already, or like have a good relationship with mermaids, the timestamps are below. You can just jump right to your reading. For everybody who wants to sort of hear about how I came to this reading and why we're connecting with mermaids and what it means for me, then you can stick around for my spiel. So I was in the Big Island, and I wanted so much to connect with the space of like a very living goddess. And by consensus, there's a movie, this came up in someone's reading, American Gods, I think is what it is. And it's this notion that like gods become gods by consensus. And so I wanted to go to a place where I could be and commune with an energy of like a living goddess that's like very much alive with consensus, and also very young and close enough that I could afford it. So I did this whole really long ritual, like asking permission, like doing the chant, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, and just like seeking Pele and saying like, can I just be in your presence to learn? And she was like very beautiful about allowing me this opportunity. And so like first and foremost, before going anywhere with this reading, I want to thank the Hawaiian people for allowing me time with their mother, with the energy of their mother, by permitting me, like, and again, like this was just, it was so important to have this kind of permission, you know, for permitting me that time on that island, because and for providing for me to stay there. I was invited, you know, enough to be with people who live there and, you know, helping them. That was an incredible experience. I don't know how much I should like divulge, but it's like a secret paradise. Maybe some of you will find out about it. I don't know how to not overwhelm them. I think it might be a secret. Anyway, before I go in that direction, I had some really cool mermaid encounters. And I don't usually interact with the Fae too much, kind of like, you know, a little bit, but like generally we try to like keep a little bit of a distance. But part of what I did in preparation for spending time with the goddess, the energy of Pele, was to create gifts. You know, gifts of, I took crystals and I put like positive, beautiful energy like from my heart to create gifts, you know, to give gifts to, as I went along. And so I gave something to the sea, and the mermaids were like, you're awesome. And I'm like, I know, you are fucking awesome too. And when you look at a mermaid, like at first there's this, and look at, you know, this is a psychic situation. So you're peering with that eye that exists like in the part of you that doesn't have to think before you consider what it is to imagine, just like when an image flies in. Seeing that way, like, you know, you can see the beauty and the majesty and the holiness of what mermaids are, and not just like this, you know, when they're young, they could be a little scary, you know, it's just true. They do have a kind of predator kind of component, and they also have a really unique culture when it comes to their orientation and relationship towards men. So that's a whole other thing, but let's pick a card. Let's let you get to the reading. I'm going to bring in the mermaid energies that I connected with through, and we're going to hear what they have to say, and whatever 1, 2, or 3 like calls to you, that's your one. If they all call to you, that's fine too. So let's buckle up, get ready for a mermaid reading. I'm really excited about this. Let's start. I put like water, island vibes music in the background. It's not music, it's the music of the ocean. It's the ocean's like song. So I love it. So the first thing I want to tell you about the mermaid energy that I'm kind of sitting with is just that like inner trust. Yeah, like there's a lot of fear towards them, like very, very intense fear towards them. And I kind of understand it because they represent a kind of like fiery, youthful, like how would that be described? No fucks to give, like in a beautiful kind of a way. But they've been villainized too, and there's also like a curse involved in the story of like the separation. Like there's a whole thing that like, I hope that they get into it a little bit, because I sat and asked a lot of questions and communicated at a deep level. And we have a story that like unfolded, which I'll figure out a way to tell it, but maybe they'll bring some of this through. So the word wants to be written is this desire to communicate, this desire to connect. And I'm seeing the tears too right here. I don't know if you can see this. There's this crying happening, and this is very much like this silencing, like unable to grow in a certain way, unable to fly, unable to connect with that other part of the world. You know, they exist very much as like fae and spirit, you know, but this is also a projection. They have a much firmer form under what seems like some kind of a dome. But that's sort of like this silence between us and this crying. They're like, they speak to sister, you know, and they speak to sister in terms of like, they operate from such a place, like the entire culture of mermaid, as far as I was able to tell, was incredibly powerfully, fiercely fierce, feminine, right? And so they operate from this place of like, when they speak to the divine, that feminine energy. Hold on, I need water. Whew. This is like coming in so fast. They speak to that energy so powerfully, and from that energy so powerfully in all, and so they connect with that in all of us. And so they say like sister, speaking really to all of us. I've been wanting to speak with you. I've been wanting to connect with you. I've been waiting for somebody to make contact. And I guess I did, because I sent the transmission through a crystal. I sent like a whole transmission. I just, you know, some really good gifts I was putting together for that beautiful island. So yeah, I was there. It was incredible. Let's not get in the way with my stories about my child and listen to what this mermaid goddess wants to bring through. And I pulled from my deck, and you don't have to believe me, but I did, this card from my goddess deck. I got this one, and I also got this other one before I started the reading. I'm used to synchronicities like smacking me in the face left and right, so that just makes sense to me. But this is definitely a goddess mermaid energy. So we're talking about, she's like beautiful power and very green sort of thing. 3 of Swords. 7 of Swords. Woo. Let's see what's going on. 4 of Pentacles. So she's telling me that she wants to tell us her story. Okay, cool. Like, she's like, we are, you are we are you. Like, this is a fucked separation. I'm sorry to curse. Intense energy. Like, they're so fierce. Like, cursing is kind of, it's like part of the energy, so I might have to not be able to help myself. So with this Knight of Swords energy, like, there's this desire to take action with this kind of communication. And with Temperance here, they're wanting to sort of warn you all, actually, a little bit. You know, we're coming into an era of being able to communicate between the veil in a way that we never have before. And she definitely, like, the whole thing, everyone, she's, it doesn't matter what's going on anywhere else. So, but this goddess energy, and she represents a collective. They do move like a school of fish, some of them, it depends on the culture, but she's saying this is hers. She's like, that's a whole other story. But anyway, very independent, very kind of Queen of Swords energy. That's why I'm like, this is kind of that energy right there. And with the Emperor here, there's like this desire. She's saying women used to, like, she used to rule her mother's world. Gaia, she gives birth. That birth is obvious. Like, I was looking at the lava and the volcanoes. Like, that is the earth giving birth to itself, turning fire, passion into matter, land, and then that land gives birth to itself with, like, and there's just like this constant way in which she's saying we used to understand, we used to value our mother, we did not attack our mother, like, very fiercely about the mother. And so she's saying, like, that there's this heartbreak, because she's like, part of what it means to be stuck in a world without the goddess mother is to be in this gray, dead, like, scratching at life, like to let you in. She's like, but there's color. You have no idea the color. And she's really talking about like our abilities to heal ourselves, each other, our abilities, like, and she sings, man, like, ooh, these siren voices. So I'm just, if I could channel the voice, I would. So with this Three of Swords here, we are talking about like this level of heartbreak and death and this disappointment and this distance, and like what it is to be spiritually connected and how easy it is to spiritually connect with them, and that they want the women to rule again. Like they're very clear on this, and it's not to the detriment of any men. It's just that they want to restore some semblance of order in terms of like, oh my God, the mother is being murdered. Hello, like, can we just take over? So they have a way of, they have technology, a way of being, and as the veil gets thinner, there's almost this warning that says, you're under some, and we already discussed this, I think, on my channel a lot. There's bad upper management. What does that tell you about the narrative in the story? That you're in a bad story. Who creates the story? The consensus. What is the consensus? The God. What God is running your world? It's not good, you know? And so when we watch this power structure fall, when the veil begins to tumble, when the spiritual infrastructure underneath begins to be revealed to us, like we have to remember how to get into our power, and we have to remember how to do our magic. And that's like divine feminine defense. So I'm talking to men too. You got to get into your divine feminine defense mechanisms, because you're up against something that is losing control, and it's losing control fast. And as it does, like, you need to, she's really cool. Look at her. She's so good with this. I'm sorry. As Lisalee, I always kind of interrupt at some point when like I lose the channel. But she's showing me that like not to be afraid, but this is an opportunity to step in your power, because if you believe in duality, you will enforce it. And this came through in the Faith TikTok that got shadow banned. For whatever reason. Listen, I picked a fight out there a little bit, but I mean like not with like Hawaiians or anything like that. It's just that what the mermaids told me, like the spiritual release that I did, released me from a lot of like, I wouldn't say like bad stuff, but like ways in which my spirituality was enforced by the infrastructure I've been born into a little bit without even realizing it. That had to be released, and that was some energy that didn't want to be released. And so it was like an amazing experience. But basically, like, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the way in which our beliefs inform the way that we react, and the way that we sort of instinctually react around duality. We need to think and defend from a different position. That doesn't do that, has nothing to do with that. Duality who? Vengeance what? That's not how we operate. We are the mother. Like, I am the mother. The mother is she. She provides for her children, and when they are sick, she heals them. You know, like, we just, why are we sick everywhere? Like, that's this energy. And so with the Seven of Swords and Four of Pentacles, it's like what it means to hold on to the lie. And look what it, how to, let's identify the lie and what it means to hold on to the lie. So this is identifying the lie and holding on to it. This over here is like stepping back into this like place of knowing, of love, and like moving forward with that. Queen of Swords is talking about like having to deal with this Emperor situation that we find ourselves under, and like how to take action with that. The word wants to be written. So she's saying this communication, this like new orientation, this like being in the world wants to, like, the earth wants to give birth to itself. And through this feminine energy that we all hold, release control. This is some chaos, you know what I mean? Like, let's get angry. Like, let's bring that fire up into the earth, you know, in a energetic, passionate way. And reconnect and like not get taken down by, she's like, masculine energies, which like she's saying like, look at the power structure. Who is in it? Spiritually, what do you think they look like? How do you think who looks like who? Like, what benefits what is being a puppet by? And so she's saying like this masculine infrastructure of patriarchy, like, she's like, this is a spell that needs to be broken. It's so poisonous to everybody. Like, the earth is upset. So let's jump in with some clarification cards on the truth over here with the Seven of Swords and the Four of Pentacles. I love her energy. She's like the fiercest. And listen, mermaids are crazy beautiful. Let's just be sure. So they have this fierce, like, it's almost like an armor that they can project if something sees them. And like, the better the sense of humor, like, they're very creative with their ferocious sort of mask. But it's like actually a mask. And they're saying like, don't swim towards us. Like, you know, in that way, like, they don't want to be seen like that. Don't look at me with those eyes. Like, there's something really interesting about like choosing the spirit form in order to reveal yourself. Like, and it's gentle and it's loving and there's nothing to be afraid of. They say like they protect it. They're like, why do you think you can just like swim in like shark infested like oceans? Like that's, it's like, it's not that the sharks like just never come to shore. Like they can, like, you know, they don't necessarily like need to or want to, but like you're not like delicious food all the time, because like you know, if a mermaid is around, like we're keeping a perimeter. They actually like really love people and care for them a great deal, but they're mad as fucking hell when it comes to the horror of like how the earth is being treated and how the water is being treated right now. Like we're not, there's anger there, and because they get righteously anger, and then they have the ferocious that they use. So like there's something really cool about like mermaids, but they're beautiful actually. And the siren song thing, that's something. Definitely something. All right, so we're getting some truth here. All right, and then over here we're gonna get solution to whatever is a problem in that truth. They really want to come to a place of like listen to the Mother Earth, listen to like, look at what she can do in the way of provision. And like, this is a very intoxicating sort of like, of course nature's fucking amazing. Like, of course we should protect this mother. Yeah. We're at this juncture in time in this moment, and especially as the veil gets thin, like it's going to get kind of weird for us. Like there's definitely change afoot with this King of Swords energy. Like she's like, you know, move into this space of observation. And she's like, think about what it might look like from a humanoid type species, like that is interacting in the world in a way that we're supposed to just not be visible to each other. Sometimes that happens. Like, let's like, she says sister, and she means mankind, sister. So with the Four of Pentacles and the wheel here, like the alarm has been sounded. the whistle or the horn has been blown. Like we are at this point where holding on to survival and self-preservation in a system that is surviving and preserving not at all. Like we're having this moment in time where we're starting to see ourselves as powerful, and in that power, like ways of exercising it, like moments of communion with the divine feminine energy in like a powerful like fire breathing and like feeling, channeling that heart of compassion that's just defiant and insistent. Like we as an energy, like we are having this divine feminine rise, and she's like, you by consensus empower it and you define it, and you have to understand that however you think it's definitive, every definition you think you know, like she's like, nope. Not at all. Like don't sit there and say, hi, I atop the thing can tell you what the quantum field is doing and what dark matter is and everything that you look at you so small. She laughs in the way that like mermaids laugh. It's like it's a song, and she's like, look how little and like, what do you think of the apes and what they know of communication when they communicate with touch, you idiots? So like this way in which like why do you think you can perceive anything? Like just question yourself, especially like on a stance like matter and antimatter. Like you don't know shit. And so when we talk about this, like coming into this knowing and this faith and this ability to discern like the unseen as like opportunity, where the like, you know, she's like, industry disgusts me, but she's like, if you're talking about like what is rising right now, it's going to be the spiritual you know, ways to connect, you know, and it's not about hierarchy anymore. We are done with that. We are learning and teaching. So she's saying like, we're getting there, you know, we're really getting there. So developing this inner trust with our own power and accessing it. And what does that mean? And what does it mean to dethrone, she says, the spell that we are under? Like, what does it mean to dethrone that stuff? And she's like, every woman, every divine feminine energy within you, like there's no sex talk here in terms of genders. Like they're totally coming from a society which, as far as I can tell, no matter what your sexual organs are, you are it looks like that to me. me. Like, she's like, what are you even talking about? It's another world. Yeah, very feminine, the whole thing. Like, she's like, you can't even, she's like, of course. Like, what, you know, and like, and for us to be masculine is like a really interesting counterbalance on the earth. But she's like, there's no balance. What the fuck are you doing? You know, like, and I bring in the curse words because I can't help it. I'm channeling her. So with this Two of Swords, with this Four of Pentacles, she's like, do not hold on to the old ways of thinking about things. She's like, with duality, you empower a duality by, like, she's like, you know, there's a way in which you're participating in the magic that binds you, that you can just decide, like, I will be ceasing and desisting this, I'm taking myself out of this. She's like, you know, that whole, like, look to the skies gods, and she means like the UFOs, come pick me up. She's like, you want to tell the sky gods to come, you know, and take you out. She's like, just remove yourself. You're going to take a different perspective. It's brave to take a different perspective. She's saying, but what is the alternative? And what is really being asked of you? And she's like, basically what's being asked of you is for you to reconnect with this idea of faith. When you reconnect with this idea of faith, and this came up in the TikTok that was Shadow Man. I'm going to keep saying that because I got so, like, mad. I hate, it's some idiot. I don't know. I had to, it was like under review. I don't care. Sorry. I just broke a channel or something as dumb as, like, all right, I'm here. I'm here. So anyway, so with this Two of Swords here and this Five of Swords in reverse, you know, removing your energy from the war is winning it. Investing in the opposition by being opposition and strategy around that is losing. So do not lose. You know, just divest energy and willpower and psychic faith in the idea that the way that might is right, because might is not right at all. You know, it's not that we're operating under such a sick power structure. And so with this Four of Pentacles, like, what does it mean to let go of what blinds you? Is to let go of this fight that you have to be right about. She's saying that, yes, there's just layers, and there's fields, and there's learning, and there's, you know, predator and prey is just like, they have us understanding of that because, like, they are technically a predator in the sea. I mean, we're going to be honest. Like, she's like, and what are you? I love how she, like, looks at me, like, with a field of cows as a vision. And I'm like, oh, right, that's disgusting. We are predators. Holy shit. I never really gave it that much thought that way. I really do have to, like, not ever eat a piece of meat. Anyway, she's like, what are you doing? All right. So with this Nine of Cups and this Page of Cups, like, what does it mean to step into your power, to reconnect, to take the blinders off, and to get yourself out of this fight? What does it mean to divest? She's like, the thrones that exist within you is like the first step. Once you divest in those inner, so she's like, that there is an enemy and that there is a good and an evil. Like, yes, there are objectively, like, she's showing me that comes from, I don't want to misquote it or not get the right people, so somebody has to help me. There's a story, and it's Native American, and it like the grandfather, and he says, you know, there's two wolves, like, which wolf do you feed, the white wolf or the black wolf? One of them will get bigger depending on who you feed. I'm butchering the story, but I'll find it somewhere. Point being, like, if we start thinking about it as like divesting in negative shit, and this is not being love and light, like prosperity gospel blind. It's just like, it's about like this idea that we understand investment and divestment, and to put our heart and our soul and our minds and our wishes into everything that is not defined by some structure of like oppression. She's like, the first step is to get out of this idea of duality, because you're much better able to be a judge and jury in your life if you're not operating from like enormous group opinions, but rather like individual experiences, and to form like a kind of orientation towards the world that is like friendship, and towards the environment that is friendship, towards spirits that is like friendship, but be shrewd. Because we still have a system of hierarchy that can't be trusted. And so, you know, you have to sort of learn how to operate in change in order to, like, you know, so she's basically saying, like, let go, let it all fall apart and just create. And as you create, have faith in what you're creating. that it's going to create you out of the hole that you're all kind of finding yourself in. Because we're going to have to, with this Ace of Cups being a gift of love from the divine, connect with the sources that are around us for the help that we need in terms of finding our magic and using it. And Mother Earth, Gaia, and this is this mermaid card right here and the moon card. You know, this is taking a different view towards spirituality, understanding that, like, to divest, like, again, what is the consensus? Consensus is that there are like evil spirits that like lurk and that they're demons and stuff like that. What does that mean? Well, everything comes through our eyes, right? So when you look at mermaids, the first thing you see is like scary, because there's the defense mask, and that defense mask is also our cursed. She's saying the defense mask that you saw when you like enslaved everyone because they were different and you saw them as animals and different, it's a defense mask, like in your own head, it's a curse. She's like, you're under the curse, don't look at me. You know, so she's saying like you're under this curse around othering. That she, and by that, oh, how am I going to get this? She's so good, and I don't know how the heck I'm going to, help me nail this right. She's trying to show me something that I don't have words for. It's really awesome. Take the limitations and put them in the toilet and flush them away. And let the mermaids, you know, bring them to the center of the earth to, you know, be processed and regurgitated away. It's almost how she's putting it. Connecting with the earth and the earth spirits, like take your understand that you have a curse that makes you see others scary, different, to be subjugated, to be control over it. It's dark, I don't understand it, it's different, it scares me, like look at that face. And she's like, especially with the sky gods, she's like, the sky beings. You know, stop thinking that you are the top of some food chain, because you're not. You're being afforded a great deal of leniency in terms of your growth and your trajectory, because you are a young and vital species. She's like, but you're going to have to connect with the same things that empower us to heal ourselves and regenerate and create life in a safe and balanced way. You're going to have to connect with us. And so she's offering this cup of love. She's like, we're coming from a place of love. We want to see women be in the divine feminine energy. She's very like the mankind, the womankind, all right? When we say the word mankind, I just want to get the translation right because I'm translating it the whole time. When we say mankind, everybody kind of understands we're talking about like everyone. When I say womankind, I need you to understand I'm talking about everyone. Can you do this? Like, so because like, and so that's, I'm like bringing that in because, so she's saying, you know, she's like, I want womankind in their independence and in their magic. I want that, because who else is supposed to be out here in charge of healing the world? The system that is crumbling. Like, no, not maybe. Like, it is. This is a burden that we're having to sort of carry. That we are in a position where we're gonna have to carry the weight of like, this is the way home. This is the way back to a system of, she's like, internal democracy, not external democracy. What externals? Bringing the like she's saying, like the external tyranny is coming down, and we have the responsibility of creating an internal, like, it's a relationship to power and magic that actually is its own democracy. You know, it's like this really interesting thing, like you stand in power and magic, suddenly the democracy that you decide on within is what ends up being consensus without, because it's not about power over, power under. It's just such an ecosystem. And like we're like being, you know, this close to like where the veil gets this thin, and the ecosystem we're about to be exposed to, that's going to cause panic and fear, especially when, like, you know, the monotheism of our day is crashing. So what takes its place? Who is the new authority? What does it mean to have authority? And so, you know, with this choice here and this King of Wands and this Chariot, you know, we have to work with this broken heart. And so she's like, you know, and I think that I'm going to let her, like, it's going to be hard to make this like 3 different parts because it's, well, anyway, I'll figure out how. It might be a mess in terms of pick a card, but really good in terms of like, we're just going to do the whole thing with this 2 of Pentacles and this King of Wands. So I invite you to like the rest of the reading, because I think I don't, she's like, let me handle this. I'm letting her. We're going to be moving out of this place of subjugation and heartbreak, and half of life is dead. She's like, all of this half that is dead inside, we're talking about all of us. Womankind is half dead inside. Womankind is bruised inside. Womankind is not balanced or healthy. Like womankind is famished of itself. And so when we make this decision around what we want to do with this King of Wands energy, this conquering, this competition, this warrior, this hierarchy, and like an economy that operates loosely around it in one way or another, what do we do in terms of moving in a new direction? Like, how do we tug of war with this? Because we're at a sort of what isn't really a disadvantage, but with the Queen of Swords and the Emperor here and the Death and Rebirth, our advantage is that we're in Death and Rebirth. And she's like, and the sisterhood knows how to death and rebirth, no matter how it's expressed. Like, she's saying, like, not necessarily biologically, but all of the truly dominantly, like moon dominant is to have an ego death every single month and come back from it every month. If you're moon dominant, you are having some version of your period. Like, it's just the way that it is. Like, you're on the cycle with the moon. That means you're crying with the moon. That means, so she's showing me this way in which, like, stepping into that moon dominance is the first choice that we make. And that's stepping out of this fearfulness. If there is a good and an evil, then we fear evil, and then fear exists as a control mechanism. Is there evil? Yeah, but how is it? It's maintained. It's not it doesn't have to be a constant. It's currently maintained, and so long as it's maintained, it will always be. We can't even think of a world without it, because we can't have a notion of darkness without thinking of it when it's not connected to darkness. Like, evil is its own substance, its own entity, its own being. And we are responsible for extinguishing it within ourselves with our magic, and therefore, like, making it smaller in the earth by, like, not participating with its consensus. It's really complicated to explain. But that it's like that we do this spiritually before we need to bring it out into the world in terms of solutions. Because if we can't do it spiritually before we bring it out into the world, we are not bringing anything that's going to hold the weight of change the way it needs to. And so this radical change that's happening, like, womankind is prepared because we're on the cycle of the moon. We are used to every month having an ego death, or like having to like rebuild, or having, like, we actually are prepared for this change in a way that, like, mankind, maybe not as much, because like that other structure is failing, and so we need to let it. And so, whoever picked this pile, the message that this energy wants to come in with for you is this invitation to participate in your own inner unknown. Find what it means to develop an inner authority. And from that place of inner authority, begin to like build your own magic and your own democracy, the way that you interact with the world. She's like, it's a call to create. And as you create, you'll see the power that you hold in the process of doing this creative work. It's not about feeding a machine, so it's not valued by the output or who receives it. It's a spiritual practice that she's inviting you into by participating in creation and creativity and creating. You're communing with that which creates in yourself, that which creates in yourself. That's how you connect with the mother. And you're hungry to do this. And so this is her advice to you. With wisdom here and Athena. Oh, I love this energy. Ran, we got a mermaid. I love it. Ran and focus and warrior and desire here. Oh yeah, universal connection in the web. She's saying this version of femininity, this mother in all of us, we all have it. Connecting with this mother within, she like has everything that we need in order to overcome what we're facing in the way of what's crumbling. And so with wisdom, focus, and desire here, there's a call to understand that your inner warrior isn't fighting. She is not in opposition. She doesn't ever in opposition. She doesn't need opposition. She is. Her democracy is like well-rooted. She operates from this place of her own power. She is governed by nothing but herself. Focus on this. Focus on what it means to embody this and operate from this and see what happens. That is how your magic is born. And if you don't know what you desire, if you can't reconnect with desire, if that is hard for you to even get near now, so much is dead inside, like she's saying, then come back to this moment of your value. Create. It's something that you determine within the creative process. And by determine, she means experience. And by experience, she means know. And again, focus on bringing yourself back into balance with this divine feminine energy. And with the Knight of Swords, like being right here, this group who picked pile number 1, what it means for you to tap into this energy is to actively go out into the world and use it. Because you create from your desire. To connect with desires, to create with that creative part of you. I'm just like, listen, and she's like, listen to yourself, inner trust. You don't fight in opposition. You fight in a completely different way. What is it to learn the power of your magic? You're not fighting. Whoever tricked you into a fight, that's the lie that we're purging here. There's no fight going on. You're not participating in a fight. You don't need to. You've got magic. She's like, just start to manifest that by actively sitting with it, saying it, letting it be your inner knowing. Placebo effect with faith. Faith is the technology of faith. This is the TikTok that you should go look at because it's suppressed. But anyway, what it says is, you don't have to look at it. It says, the placebo effect is a statistically proven, replicable study on the technology of faith. There's no good and evil in the sugar pill that somebody takes and heals themselves believing it's medication, because they have faith in the infrastructure of the medicine and the medical whoever's. That's why it works. So the sugar pill, the technology of faith, has nothing to do with good and evil. It's how your belief operates to create matter and influence matter within yourself and the world. And so this is an invitation to start connecting with your magic. She's like, you are yet unfinished, to invest in yourself in this way, and create. And we're going to get closer to what it is, because that desire that you create from, she's like Pele, and she gives like birth, the Mother Earth gives birth to herself. So pile number 1, that is your message from the mermaid. It is such a good one. And let's move on. Actually, do I want to make this so long? All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to read as a summation card this one right here, this 42. And it's going to take this, and I'll try to make it short. Maybe I can like just read a little bit of it, because I always like the card to see if it summarizes the reading. Like it usually does confirm. 42. Why can't I even see? I'm like, when I am channeling, I'm like really hard for me to see in front of my face sometimes. I know that sounds weird, but like I can see. It's just a little bit. All right, I'm just gonna read the first paragraph, whatever it ends up being. You might have been taught that creativity is something you have to work hard to access, or that finding your life purpose is so difficult that you must search high and low for it. Yet what you are is within you and wants to come out at every available opportunity. You don't have to struggle so much. It is more about allowing space for it to manifest and to let the energy flow. The real struggle is not in finding something. It is more about letting go of the idea that you need to search for your path in the first place. You see, the process of activating your life path is a natural one. The effort is in getting out of the way, not in making something happen. There's no fight, just create. So that's pile number 1. That is your message from the mermaid. I hope that was good, and I'll see you again soon. All right, I'm just gonna start because I feel like the shuffle is going on for like 1,000 years, and I've got like the ocean vibes behind me, like with the waves, and I'm like, wait a minute, I should just begin the reading because I'm already in the zone. So I'll bring those other cards in like kind of as we go. So with this, what you want wants you. Let me just kind of get back into this. That was like an intense shuffle. It was like such a zone I went to. I'm going to kind of get language. With this King of Pentacles being this King of the Earth. So she's speaking of the King of the Earth. And with this Judgment card, we're talking about Judgment Day. We're talking about this shift that we're looking at in terms of, like, in terms of our own bodies. She's like, why bother thinking about Mother Earth as being so far away? Think about in terms of saving the Earth, saving yourself, you know, almost like you're famished. Who are you kidding? You're emotionally famished. You need the mother's like beautiful land around you, sprawling, like bringing fruit, like forth fruit and frolicking hens and like beautiful vistas with animals. Like, who are you kidding? Why do you want life to be small and like contained in buildings that are oppressive, with this horrible life where you can't live it outside? You know, she's basically saying like, what you want wants you. The same freedom that you want wants you. The earth wants, it's like this wildness, you know, that divine feminine energy within you needs like a kind of chaos and a kind of wildness for that to be fertile ground for creativity. It's just kind of part of what it means. You have to be receptive and in a dreaming mode at the same time. Like all of these components, like desire has to meet conviction, has to meet interest, has to meet all of these, like the alchemy has to be just so. You know, and the alchemy of this King of the Earth as it stands is not just so. And so people aren't free, our creativity isn't free, our connection to our mother isn't free, and the earth is being exploited because we don't even know the value of what we hold. We don't need this power that we keep on harvesting. We have ample magic within us. You know, if we understood the science of the placebo effect a little bit more than we do, if we could actually, like, she's like showing me triangles and like moving triangles around on a board. And she's basically saying, like, if we really understood how it works, like, we would not have to exploit anything. We're not designed to need to. You know, to the extent that there's a hierarchy and that even the earth is wrapped up in like our nourishment comes, like life eats life. She's like, do you have any idea the magic that comes from? She's like, do you think that things are that, she says like things aren't static. So we may be light years away from like what she, this mermaid, sort of like envisions in the way of what we're capable of with the different types of energy, technology, including the energy we possess, like in our bodies, just as naturally as the earth possesses energy in its body. She's like, what's the difference? She's like, listen to your inability to translate between quantum physics and matter physics. And so with this spaceship, especially like coming through, she's saying, you know, in terms of what's coming towards you, in terms of the sky gods, you know, and like what the technology that is going to make this system obsolete, we should probably have our own infrastructure kind of like somewhat established before others begin to like furnish us with solutions that we can't depend on. Like there's, and it's not because it's like, again, get out of duality, good and evil, them against us, conquering, fight, no fight, nothing like that. Just in terms of our own evolution, how ready are we to be little gods? How well do we hold power? And so with this Two of Wands and this Nine of Wands and you know, this transformation that we're taking, what you want wants you. The freedom of expression that you want needs you, or freedom of expression. The freedom of creativity. The world needs your creativity. Like we need each other. We have, all of us need this. She's showing me this study that what was this? I saw it at TikTok. You know, I can never remember like to save these things or like fun. I save everything, you know, for the purpose of trying to find it later if I need it, but it's a disaster. But there was this thing about people with schizophrenia have one of the two delusions that are common throughout all of them, really, is this notion that they are the Messiah. They have like, you know, that they are a god with something huge to bring to the earth that everybody needs to know about, or that demons are chasing them and they're trying to, you know, outrun them, like the devil is after them. And she's basically kind of saying, you know, both things are kind of true. You know, not that we agree with the powerlessness that they are trapped in because we have no infrastructure for the language that they naturally understand, which I don't know what she's saying, but she's like, mental illness, again, it's a way of the body, you know, the mind way of communicating what's happening, you know, in the body of itself and the world around it, and the different ways in which we receive information. Everybody has a different way. So she's saying like it's much more layered than that. But again, to the extent that we heal and we know what healing is, she's like, and you really don't. And knowing how to heal ourselves is to acknowledge that we are actually all endowed with godlike ability, you know, and a message, you know, in our presence, in our person, and what we do and how we interact with the space around us and the chemistry that we are and the alchemy that we are in groups, and like what does it mean to like participate, and like how, like, you are vital and you are here to save the world. Like, it doesn't matter whether or not you, like, this idea of hierarchy and scope as being layered in one direction, you know, in terms of attention, is fucked. That's not what this energy is talking about. She's basically saying, like, you are here to save your world. You're here to save your world. And as far as that world goes, and as long as that world's reach is, like, you are the savior and the Messiah, and the message that you have to bring with the example that you give and what you create of your own life and create from your life is there to save your world. And if everybody participates in saving their world, irrespective of position, we will save the world. You know, and so this idea that we all have to be involved in the resurrection, in the you know, the kingdom of earth on heaven, you know, the coming again of, you know, the second whatever, the rapture, all of this, all of the prophecies of like she's like, you know, everyone kind of gets to this point where they can see a point on the horizon, and the spirit knows that that point on the horizon of time is it's an enlightenment around our capabilities and who we really are and what we're really capable of. And so when we look at this magician here with the 7 of Cups, you know, we look at chaos and disaster and being subject to like Mother Nature's wrath, or not being subject to her wrath, and like, all these things. She's like, with the magician card, what you're able to create, you know, what you're actually able to do here, you know, in a position of powerlessness, is to realize that the powerlessness is artificial. There are options, there are solutions. Not participating in the argument. Can they do it? Can they not do it? Who's in charge? They're not in charge. This one, that. Like, when we take ourselves out of the fight and we begin to think about saving our world, ourselves, our own world, the world that we're in. You know, like this idea of micro, macro. If every single person, like she's saying, like, you know, it comes down to behavior modification. And looking at the world, having the responsibility of the knowledge that we now hold. And that responsibility entails with it looking for solutions. And that's looking for solutions in our world, the one that we live in, with the mind for saving the world by saving our own world. Like, she's like, both things, like, we're talking about magic. How do you want to do this? How do you want to make this transfer? You create into it, or you create from it, you know, the runes of it. But either way, like, you know, she's like, there's options on how to make this work and how to make this better and how to choose. Because this Knight of Cups and the King of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles there, you know, we can keep on looking for someone to hand the solution. You know, we can continue to participate in needing the King of Pentacles to pay for, to create the infrastructure for, so that then we can make money from. Like, we can look to the what the King of Pentacles offers us is a system that doesn't work for anyone. So we can keep on looking to the system for what it has to offer, which is just this Knight of Cups energy. Like, it's like, here's the good idea I have for you, with no substance. You know what I mean? And it works for me. And you can participate with, because I'm ruling the world by, this is the system I'm enforcing. I'm the only one with the power to change it. Yeah. So like we can all stop looking to that person to have the power to change it. And we can look to ourselves to have the power to not look for that hand to give us anything. I don't need anything from you. No, thank you. Your little red cup of, like, whatever that is. You know, we can actually say, no, thank you. I have options, and from this place of conviction, set ourselves free. You know, and that's sort of what, you know, this is such a preachy kind, but we're talking to a mermaid, you know, this is how it, with new birth guarded vigilantly, you know, the group that has picked this card, you're a group that is going to be in a position of having the material to create from. That's this group. You have the resources. And whether you have them right now or you're going to have them, you're going to have the resources to create from. And that creation that you make is going to have an infrastructure where you have it in mind to do what you're here to do, which is not delusional, and save your world. Save your world. Be the savior of that world. You know, to the extent that the other common delusion is that the demons are after you. Of course they fucking are. But what do they really look like? Do they look like excesses of responsibility that should have no bearing on your life if like evaluated against an ethics system that determines them against community standards? What are community standards? The thing that you create to replace a failing system so someone can go somewhere from the place that's falling. You build across the street when the building is falling, you build a building across the street. You don't try to keep that thing up. You don't stand there with a broomstick, you know, holding the door frame. Get out of that falling house, create something across the street where people can go. And that's what it means to create a way out for yourself. And by creating a way out for yourself, like, again, like, what does it mean to step into this creative, powerful place with our magic and what we're able to do? First of all, access faith. I think we all needed to start at pile number 1, because this is like such a sermon, really. You know, pile number 1 is all about how do you access your faith in order to create, to manifest. Like, how do you do it? You know, this pile is more about like, once you have manifested these options for yourself, once you've stepped into this, like, thinking out of the box, creating out of the box, moving into something that is like uncharted territory, and operating from that place of like, how can I save my world? How can I be a participant in that? What does that even mean? What is my reach? Where does my voice best carry? What kind of voice do I have? What kind of magic do I have? What is created of my magic? You know, that's kind of the stuff that was covered in pile number 1. This is like, once you create from that space, you're just going to then go step 2, a cup of status being handed to you by this King of Pentacles. No, thank you. What is that? I don't drink that. I drink something else. Like, you know, whatever that is. Like this cup of, you know, more money than you know, like, than you need for provision. Provision we need, but like something ridiculous where like you can't think of a place to put it, and so you sock it away in some other thing. No, think of a place to put it. You think of a place to put it. Like, you save your own world. You know, this is sort of like the participation where you're, you don't need whatever is being offered. You're creating something separate. And so this, you go from having these options to not creating for this option, but creating for something else that you determine in this process. And so this King of Cups is about like being deeply rooted in your value. You know, with this Judgment card here and this 4 of Pentacles, like, we have to sort of have this moment, this like inner reckoning, you know, and this King of Cups really speaks of this energy of this is an ocean energy. We're talking with a mermaid, and, you know, she's showing me the self-governing of a fully empowered, fully like magically like empowered culture. You know, when it comes to organizing energies, which is how she's kind of seeing masculine energies. Yeah, I'm getting that wrong, but I don't have the word for whatever they have in their culture. It's just a different orientation towards like what this energy is. So basically saying that it's reforming, kind of. Though she's like, you would need to sort of reform everything about the way that you see it to kind of see it the way that I would be able to convey it properly. But the point of the matter is just like, we know how to connect to she's like, you know how to connect to God as an external thing. Most of you get taught that somehow, and you either just dismiss it because it's ridiculous, or you try for a really long time and the external thing never answers, and eventually you're stuck with your internal search. And it's just, you know, she's like, you know, getting in touch with that internal search. She's like, going deep within. She's like, you're an ocean unto yourself. You're an ecosystem unto yourself. And you're created, you know, in a way where you have complete and total access to like the depth of field that the ocean has. And so really beginning to sort of like understand, like, spend time in your own depth of field, spend time exploring your own like uncharted territory, your own unknowns, you know, doing all of that shadow work, you know, interacting with the shadow. Like, when you get rid of duality and everything becomes like an opportunity for a mission where like some things are going to go right and some things are going to go wrong, but you're going to find something really valuable if you know and train your eye to look for it, and also interact with your abilities where you're putting your faith in what it is that you want to create, and however you want to like access magic. That's like taking the magic is faith, taking the faith, applying it to creation. Boom. What the hell does that make? solutions. So this is an energy that's saying you're a part of the solution. And so making a judgment to not hold on is to divest. And it's like little things. It's, you know, it starts off because, again, you're taking like this structure off the internal throne by not valuing what it values anymore. Does it value a certain look? You don't value that. You value the look of like something else, you know, like that doesn't mean be attracted to something that you're not attracted to. It means like look differently. Find beauty in different ways, ways that you haven't been taught, ways that you haven't automatically just assumed. Like start to look for different types of beauty. Look for treasure in places like that you wouldn't normally think from. This is how you do it, you know, because basically like what you're going to find when you really start to connect with the part of yourself that knows what it wants organically is this deliverance and this resurrection of your power. And so this is the group with the resources to make this call to begin to build in a new way. And it's a little bit, it's heavy burden, but you're not alone on this or with this. And so I'm going to end us there for group number 2, but I'm going to go a little bit longer because I want to get some goddess cards. So what it is to defend ourselves at this point as things are crumbling is to plan. So not fighting, planning. And to the, she's saying to that feeling of exhaustion and that anger around, you think that there's any time or an ability to plan. You think that I have anything. Like we can feel it with the wounded warrior. This sucks. This is crying a lot because frustration just is like exhausting. Like that's what this really is. And this idea that there's no ability to plan with this level of exhaustion and defense, divest from the idea that you are in a fight and it will take the fight out of half the things that you do. That doesn't mean you're not going to have to do them. It means you're moving energy around in order to find the space to reallocate it. So like it's not just like I'm going to create an award-winning thing in 2 seconds. And award-winning is the wrong word. Like I'm just, you know, in terms of like what she's trying to show me, it's like this doubt, this crippling doubt around what you're capable of has been taught to you. So it's understandable that you hold it, but to confront it is to plan in a way that like, so you're, you know, it's like she's saying like, you know, when you know that you're moving or you know that you're changing a job and you take a bunch of energy out of what you would normally be using to like build an impression or, you know, get like upward mobility. If when you know that you're going to a better thing, you don't care so much about like the back garden if you know you're moving in a month. And so this is what she means by reallocating your energy, by knowing that you have something to offer, knowing that it's going to be something that is substantially, like offers you enough resources to create from, taking the option to create in a new way, doesn't buy into this system, really alleviates you, you know, and you come into your power. And it means letting go of approval is not love. Pleasure is not love. Loyalty is not love. These are all components. But with the death, well, this is the rebirth card actually, and the desire, right? You know, what we have here is with harvest, you know, what we are capable of and what you're going to be capable of and what you're having the opportunity here with is plan for this rebirth. This is the resurrection. Participate in it by reconnecting with desire, because your desire leads to the creativity again that saves your world. So you are a Messiah, you are a savior of your world. And if you take that out of hierarchy, and if you take that out of approval, and again, like what she said in terms of like love is not, these are components of love. And so it's easy to hold it in front of you like a carrot, but it's not love. And so just again, reevaluate absolutely everything. Take the value of it and reformulate, you know, based on being able to create space for yourself to create from. Get in touch with this desire. You're getting this message that the mermaid is bringing is like, yeah, it's been a long, horrible road, so that you'd be equipped for this, but get equipped and get ready because you'll be helped. But you're about to bring in some kind of a version of the second coming. And that sounds grandiose, but that doesn't matter because this is a mermaid. And what she's saying kind of makes sense. You know, as we sort of like tap into the spiritual technology, and this divine feminine sort of orientation towards organizing our energy and our lives and what it means to rethink absolutely everything, we participate in a big way, and there is a harvest to be had. So how I'm going to close this reading is I'm going to read the first paragraph of this card from the book, because it's like almost like a summation or a closing that doesn't come from my mouth. And actually I'll do 2 paragraphs. So let's go ahead, and I usually hate when people do this, but I'm going to do it because you'll see. So with this, I'll read the first paragraph for this. So what you want wants you. Do you dare to believe that what you want is also wanting you? The genuine desires of your heart are the sacred purpose of the soul, swathed in pleasure. Yet, if you have been shamed, judged for, made to feel guilt over, or denied your natural desires or pleasures in any way, you may have developed a very tricky and complicated relationship with the yearnings of your heart. We often learn to distrust our own desires and come to believe that they are something to be overcome or avoided. We may even try to want second best, disbelieving that we are worthy of our first choice, of what we really genuinely want and would fulfill us deeply. Perhaps we have conditioned ourselves to believe that getting what we want is for others, not us. I'm going to just do the next paragraph because this oracle comes with a healing message for you. First, trust in what you truly want, not the substitutions and make do's, but what would truly bring a sense of passionate, playful purpose and fulfillment to your life. You might not know anything more than I want to sing, or I want to write, or I want to help animals, or I want to paint. Start with what you know and hold it in your heart as you do the healing process. So that healing process, I just participate in it. You know, just start with what that says. And I'm going to go to this new birth and read the first paragraph of that, because I think this is actually really synchronistically resonating. You know, what this mermaid is really bringing through around, like, you know, your purpose is like, yeah, you're going to do really big things. Make the right decision with that. Know the time and the place that you're in, and really get in touch with your spiritual authority, because it's going to lead you well. So I'm going to read this paragraph. In every creative process, in every birth, in every opening of a new cycle of life, there is a time of vulnerability. This vulnerability is natural and appropriate. It is the full learning to become steady on its legs. Those legs will become remarkably powerful in time, but the process of growth and maturity has to take place, and that requires some wobbly first attempts. It cannot be any other way. So if your life has basically been this 10 of Wands, wobbly first, you know, attempts, and you feel like that tells you this story that says you can't do big things, then understand that this is just the wobbly beginning of everyone's like first attempts. And that doesn't mean you're a failure at anything. In fact, you know, like your perseverance is what's going to set you free in terms of like your valuing yourself. So this new birth, guard vigilantly, like as you understand that what you want wants you, that you are enough, you know, that you have these options, that you have this power, that you've been given this place in the participation of changing things. Guard this change in yourself vigilantly. So that is our message. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else I should read here. I'm just reading one more paragraph. I mean, most of you are gone now, so whoever's with me just wants to hear this. Within you, perhaps even below the level of your consciousness and conscious awareness, there is a fresh new life emerging like a vibrant green shoot rising up from the earth. This new life is in need of your attention and your care. This could be a new relationship that needs tending with interest and kindness. It could be a new idea that you need to nurture into fullness, because it's going to hold special purpose for your life path. It might be something within you, a new behavior, a new way of looking at yourself, or a new way of being in the world that you need to tend to until it becomes more natural for you to embody. So like as you start, you know, this process, let yourself, you know, be kind of wobbly. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fix it. You know, you're going to get there. You don't have to be like, you're going great places. If it's been wobbly, know that you're almost done wobbling. You really are close. But that what is being created through you and with you, guard it by taking care of it. Know that it's more than just giving birth. It's also like nourishing and what does it need? So we're going to leave it there. Pile number 2. I hope this was helpful. I think all of these are good. I don't know. I don't know that the piles are so significant with this reading, so you might want to watch the other ones. But okay, I'm gonna leave it there. Okay, pile number 3. We're a little bit messy here, but I'm gonna just sort of reconnect with the mermaid energy. The shuffle was like, there was like almost like a righteous kind of a rage, sort of a Kali, Pele sort of a feeling. So I'm not sure what we're gonna get here, but it seems like this, seeing the true you, pile number 3. Let me just move this up a little bit. Just want to put that there. What it's going to be for you. So you're basically, you know, I actually think that all of the piles are for everyone. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be that way, but like it's seeming like this is sort of an extension of you have been sort of gearing up for a level of success, and that means walking away from this double energy. This is sort of the last leg of the lap in terms of healing and awakenings and getting ready to sort of put yourself back out in the world, and like what that even means, what it means to like furnish a life for yourself from a perspective that is different, you know, like we're like, so Spirit is basically saying like, you know, you're positioned to have a perspective on life that is different, and you can participate in like creating something new. You wouldn't be wanting to participate in creating something new if you weren't having to come from a different perspective. And so first there's some level of acceptance that like the perspective that you have been put in, though born of like a lot of difficult situations, there's still value in the position that you find yourself. And if you can't find any value in the position that you're finding yourself in, then you are married to the you have faith, very much faith invested in wherever you are. Your faith is there. Now that's like, seems like a tough thing, but you know, from this mermaid's energies, like kind of perspective, we talked about the placebo effect. I think it was in pile number 1. And so I'm actually going to repeat myself a little bit with that. The placebo effect is a phenomenon that has been proven in every study like ever done. It's been replicated so many times. We have a name for it. And the sugar pill that someone takes thinking it's medication that heals them, it has nothing to do with good and evil. That's no good and evil there. You know, that's not nothing to do with it. That's a whole, it works. It does what the person believes it will do. It heals them. And so when we ask ourselves about, you know, what position that we find ourselves in, like, yes, yeah, they're like, I'm actually, it's interesting, like this mermaid energy is so incredible, but she's sort of bringing my mind to, the weirdest thing. I don't know how. Okay, fine. I'm going to be brave and I'm going to tell the story. And I guess I have to be brave because it's maybe whatever. Who cares? You guys can judge me. I don't know. I'm not going to worry too much. I was on the way back from the airport. I took an Uber and I was talking to the guy, and the driver, you know, I'm psychic. Everybody opens up to me. I never like sit in a room with like one other person, or I'm never like with another person where I don't hear like a life story. So it's not uncommon for someone to like tell me everything that is like hurting them. And so this young man, very young man, starts telling me about how he went into his business for himself just before the pandemic. The pandemic wiped out like 5 years worth of work to get it to the point where it would be steady. Had to take out loans in order to support his child, who his wife just had a child, and he had to support his wife and his child, so he was taking out personal loans and doing everything like imaginable to try and keep this whole thing afloat so that it would in some way succeed. And now he was talking about how he's in so much debt that he like gets 2 hours of sleep trying to do Uber and business. And so I said, how much, you know, like, and he told me the number. And when he told me the number, understanding like what I understood about the credit situation that was currently ongoing, because he told me in the credit score, I said to him, you need to, it sounds like, and I was saying, this is my advice, I wasn't forcing an opinion, but I said, sounds like bankruptcy would be like, don't, and he like had no like idea, like he's like, what is that? They take it all out of your bank account? And I'm like, no, this is a whole other process. It's, you'd have to go through this thing. This is terrible. But at the same time, you know, there's implementing and, you know, there's things that after 7 years, I don't want to give like financial advice in any way, but basically like this guy, the answer for this guy in terms of freeing up his creative time to work on the business in a way that could really bring it somewhere so that he could sleep and so that his life wasn't a living hell. He was in a position where a bankruptcy was the best option, and not even ever occurred. But this idea that like we can be in these self-imposed scripts that say, I can't go to sleep because I have to work every single night. Otherwise, how am I going to keep the business afloat? How am I going to take care of my wife and kid? How am I supposed to, deal with, he's like, I'm just paying interest on that's all I can pay. The idea that bankruptcy hadn't even been an option or even been like in this person's mind as an option is like, it was his commitment to this script about what he had to do and what was against him and how there weren't any answers. So sometimes the worst answer is the right answer. And if we can't even get there, we're going to be stuck in a script that is a slave, this devil energy that is a slave driver for the rest of our lives. And so when we think about our relationship to opposition, what opposes us, what's the word, mermaid? She's trying to show me something that I can't. Sometimes these words, it's not the same. I don't know that word. Knocks me out of the channel. I don't know what's coming through. So basically, this Five of Wands being about conflict, this Five of Swords being about putting the conflict down, and this King of Wands is like the competitor, right? This infrastructure of competition. Divest. Put energy into creating something so unique because it's a unique expression of who you are, not because it competes. Create not for the audience and the position that audience might give you, as hard as that is. It's really hard. Listen, happens to the best of us. Like, I'll be honest, like my stuff, you know what I mean? If I created it for numbers, it wouldn't exist. I mean, and I think I do somewhat well, but like the point is, you create for the sake of creation. And if you literally like get angry and frustrated and like lunacy because it doesn't take off in the time frame or in the way that you want, that's a commitment, and that's faith being put in opposition. It really is. And again, like we create, and so when we divest from competition, when we divest from the idea of opposition, we're not torpedoing others on our way to get anywhere because of whatever craziness we're experiencing based on like what we're not experiencing in the way of like our expectations. So like this mermaid is coming through to say like, seeing the true you. There's like the reason that the shuffle was kind of like an angry one is like there are things to be mad at outside of yourself. And then there are stories that we tell in relationship to like how power operates in our life and how it affects us. And when the opposition is the faith that we put everything in, we're going to live really confined by it. And so, this decision with this Two of Cups and this Ace of Swords being like this truth around Nine of Swords energy, this truth around, so this energy of this mermaid, I've never channeled angry before really, but it's not like I hate you anger. So I just like want to say like when it comes through, understand that like I've never even felt anger like this. It feels kind of good. It's sort of righteous. Yeah, it's like definitely righteous. And so like, we might be called out, myself included. I'm going to be listening to this channel after I post it too. With this Ace of Swords and this Nine of Swords, like we need to call bullshit on, not on what happened to us, but on the power we give it. Because there's two components to a story. One is, and this thing about making it true by the value of the suffering, which we put in the time with the suffering to make it true, the offense make more sense to us, because if the suffering is commensurate with the crime, then at least like it's like really, she's like, this is some twisted nonsense. What happened and the power, like the power of destruction over your life. And if we go back to the example of the guy who, started a business right as the pandemic started, that sucks. That's the power of nature. That's the power of a storm to take out your house. And even someone, and little butterfly things too. Someone can take out your success in 4 minutes by being like a lunatic crybaby who wanted attention and like, I don't know where this is coming from. Somebody needs this, who like decided to like torpedo, try to, like they could never. So there's a situation coming through for somebody. Okay. Like in a system of competition, where you're competing against others for positioning and whatever bullshit story like you or somebody else is involved in. This is something like, I'm trying to get this right. Oh Mermaid, help me with this. You can't torpedo anybody and nobody can torpedo you, but they can torpedo the path that you're on at any given moment. And they are responsible for that, just like you are. And in the same way, you don't want that karma for yourself. You don't want to be doling that karma out either. So just by participating in the competition in a way that says, if you have something, I can't have something, it's something to divest in. Because it puts everyone at a karmic, she's like, it's like a disillusionment, right? And so what does it mean to like put down that conflict, you know, step out of competition, seeing the true you, taking a look at yourself with this King of Cups, going really deep on who you are and what you have to offer. And then also you're going to need to tap into the energy of faith. Because if all of your faith is in failure, or if all of your faith is in fear of failure, or if all of your faith is in the opposition always wins, if your faith is in, I suffer commensurate to this crime forever because I can't find my way out, and therefore it's, you know, there's this way in which we're giving power to the guy who is working 8 hours a night and 8 hours a day, and bankruptcy was the right answer. That doesn't mean that, like, again, you have to like think about values in a different way. Think about, and this doesn't mean be irresponsible. I'm just saying that the answer isn't always obvious. And if you're committed to a story, you are going to impose it on yourself and everyone else, and you're responsible for that karma. Your perspective is the spell and the magic you put out there. And if you mess with someone with your perspective, you're going to be responsible for that. So get your perspective clear. And so when this energy comes in with this righteous anger about, you know, this truth around your fears and your anxieties and what has power over you and what is opposition and what you're dealing with and who listened and who didn't listen and whose fault it is and who's not fault and why is it always like this and all of this. And listen, we can go on and on and on. I mean, like this mermaid goddess energy, you know, she's saying this femininity is not weak. Don't tarnish it by investing in this idea that you're fragile, because you can be hurt, but you are not fragile. And that is the lie at the heart of every like feminine mystique. And when you buy into that, you force everyone else to sort of be at its mercy in some way or another. So she's saying like to take a stance that is, I'm not powerful, I have no power, what's happened to me in the past is going to happen to me again, I've tried my best, I've never succeeded, and I'm always at the mercy of all of this shit because I started at a disadvantage. That story is a spell that you need to break on yourself, because maybe someone put it on you. Sure, absolutely. And that someone could have been all of the information that you got from everywhere outside of yourself, your parents, the media, everything that told you you have no power. That's a spell that's cast on you that you are like, absolutely not. I have no power. I'm going to just run with that. Break it. You know, so this like truth, you know, stepping into this truth, like facing ourselves, you know, it's not about, we don't have compassion for ourselves and what we've gone through. It's not, that's a whole different thing. That's mothering yourself. But when our self-concept is rooted in opposition and the bullying and having a position in relation to all that bullying, and how do we participate or not participate in that bullying? If we can't bully directly, do we bully indirectly? Who are you in all this? There's this accountability that this energy is calling us into. If we want to stand in our power and we want to have this power and we want to hold this power and we want to say to this universe, give me these resources, give me the power. I want this independence. I want this influence. This energy is like this mother goddess energy. She's like, you're going to ask for this. You need to actually be clear on how you hold power and what it means to hold power and what it means to be operating from the pure place of desire and not some fucked up motive that's connected somehow into some approval patriarchy for fragile nonsense that the narrative has suddenly changed from, like, you know, you have to be vigilant with yourself. You just have to, you know, if you're gonna hold power and resources and do the right thing with them, there has to be this self-accountability that comes into, and that's not saying that you haven't been up against the worst circumstances and that it's not deserved. Deserve is a really weird word. And this energy, this mermaid's like, use the word deserve correctly. And like this, like you can say that person deserved to die. Sure. But you can also say that person didn't deserve to die. That word deserve then therefore doesn't mean shit if both outcomes are not corresponding to the value of like what it even means to deserve anything, right? So if a good person doesn't deserve bad things but it happens anyway, and a bad person doesn't deserve good things but it happens anyway, then you need to get rid of this word deserve as being a governing principle on your life. And you need to stop inflicting your chaos, you know, by not creating a center of gravity for yourself rooted in your own desire and your desire to sort of like take up space, be in your power, and use that power in a way that can be trusted by yourself and others. And so it's saying that, like, you know, there's this call to sort of be in this King of Cups place. You got to really know yourself. You got to really invest in yourself. You got to be responsible to do that work within yourself where you find your inner authority so you can deal with the devil energies. What are the devil energies? Placebo effect. You believe it. In the same way that you believe a sugar pill could make you well. And that doesn't, like, this is the placebo effect. We're talking about it scientifically over and over again because it's related to this idea of the technology of faith. The technology of faith is spelled out in the placebo effect with a different number of words. If you believe that the boogeymen are out to get you because you've walked away from, say you walk away from restrictive religion, like some horrible dogma, but you still believe that the evil has power to come and get you if you're, you know, one word out of line or whatever the hell it might be, your faith in that is making it very real for you. Your faith, though, on the other hand, you release this allegiance, you know, with a story that diminishes you. And instead you take that same technology of faith, that placebo effect, that women's magic, that divine feminine magic. It's not relegated to women. We're talking about womankind, you know, like we would talk about mankind. It means everybody. If you place that faith in, nobody can take me away from what's meant for me. And even if somebody torpedoes my path, the mission is always going to find its own way. The same way like the river finds the ocean, my way will find its way. Even if I don't see the path because there was opposition, I'm not empowering the opposition with a story about how it stops me and everybody else and da-da-da-da. You know, so this mermaid is saying, you know, I want you to take responsibility because what we're coming into in the way of a really thin veil and power structures falling and the desperation that happens when power structure falls, especially by those who consider themselves empowered, you know, we have to walk away from all the conditioning, and that really means taking a good hard look at ourselves. This Two of Cups is about knowing ourselves and making sound judgments, the kind of judgments that are convicted. I am convicted by this judgment, and therefore I am going to act on it accordingly. That's why revelation is so powerful as an agent of change. Once you see, you can't unsee it. So, you know, with this King of Cups energy really being about like knowing yourself at such a deep level, trusting yourself at such a deep level, being in such a relationship with your depths, which is being a relationship with that divine mother, you know, is like stepping out of this confusion about, you know, all the powers that are over you. Because there's this way in which, you know, with the Six of Pentacles, unfairness in the world dictating like your experience of life, of your world, there's a judgment call to be made about that. And with the Moon, the Six of Cups, and the World, like again, you know, back to taking responsibility for the story that you tell about yourself in the world, taking responsibility for your magic, and that's again like where you're putting all of your faith is creating the consensus that we all live by in one way or another. And to take your magic out of the way it is and it's always been is a really bold move, but it's also the move of the magician. It's also the move of the high priestess. If that's your calling, and this is the group, you know, that seems like that's your calling, then you are meant to step into faith, you know, vocationally, even without the structure of organized religion. But if your faith is in that the boogeymen are going to get you, they're going to get you. So create a structure for your faith where they can't get you. Because that's the placebo effect. I believe that nothing can harm me. Nothing can. Is it true? Yeah, it's true. And why are so many people afraid of the unseen and the unknown with the Moon card here? And this is what it means to tap into that unseen and that unknown from a powerful place. just lost the channel. Hold on, give me a second. I don't know where it went. This is a really, she's getting very heavy with this walk away from the enslaving stories, the enslaving narratives, the enslaving, because it's not that there's no power in the structures that exist by consensus as it is. It's just that you can participate or you can divest your participation, and based on how you do that, how you walk away from like emotional investments and expectations of deserve and deserving, you know, like there's a lot here that is like, take the competition out of it, take the value system and take competition out of it, recreate your value system, operate by that new value system, and watch how the chips fall. That's sort of the recipe here. But, you know, there's such a fear of the unknown, because this idea of like, well, the world's unfair, and every time I do something, somebody else does this, and every time I believe that, something else happens. Again, like, can you hear yourself? Because you may have come to the consensus that that was true of the past, but when we say don't take your past with you, this mermaid is saying we mean the stories. Because the past is already gone. The only aspect of the past that you would take with you is the stories. So get rid of the parts of the stories that don't leave you more empowered than than you began. Because validating yourself and your suffering and being compassionate and mothering yourself and healing yourself, those are all things that we have to do commensurate to the pain that we suffer. But if that story doesn't end in a victory, make sure that it does. And once you know that you can, never give up that power ever again. Because this is where belief, like, you know, we see the snowball growing. And so there's really this intensity with this mermaid here, with this like Six of Pentacles saying, stop letting the past dictate the future. Make a decision right now to orient yourself and your goals very differently, and your values very differently, and what satisfies you very differently. Like, step into a new chapter, which means getting out of this competition, getting in out of trying to find your place in it, and like operating from some manipulation within it, because, you know, it's a dog-eat-dog world and you got to do what you got to do. So much of this is just voices in your head. Like, you're like, I don't know who this is coming through, but you might know somebody who says terrible things about you all the time, and they're constantly using their magic to try and like torpedo your path, and they're constantly trying to get out of their own facing their business by like pointing it at you. Yeah, sure, that person exists, but are you going to walk around spreading the gospel of them saying fuck you? Or are you going to say, I'm not even going to think about that, I don't even care, that reality has no bearing on mine, that can't even affect me. It's as if it's not happening. And if it affects me, when I stand in my power by being truly and authentically myself and speaking from that position, those that don't know me and prejudge me will reevaluate based on my behavior. But if I'm walking around ashamed and sad and angry all the time, they're going to look at me like I'm hiding something. So how are you participating in the stories about yourself that are told by others and that are told by yourself in a way that is making magic that you don't want to make? Because what we have here when it comes to, like, you know, on the other side of, you know, this devil is this system of fear. And we don't have fear without lack. And we don't really have lack to the extent that we think we do without competition. Because usually there's basic provision. Not always, and we do have to tackle that as a community, and that is something that, like, you know, coming into our own magic and our own power, and what it means to find the end of the story always ends in, and I learned this thing that transformed me into a new being that now has a new perspective and a power with that perspective that I never had before. If that's not the end of every story, then your story's all over, it's over, and you've started to live your death. And so what this mermaid goddess is inviting us into is a way of working with the technology of faith, where we make it work towards our healing. And we start to do that with the power of the words that are spoken, that we speak to ourselves and we speak about ourselves. And when the boogeyman comes after you, and you believe the boogeyman is more powerful than you, then you have a problem of belief, and you have a problem of faith, and not a problem of the boogeyman. And I know that sounds harsh, because there are people out there who are violent and people who do violent things. She's saying something that's hard for me, Lisalee, to bring through, but she's saying violence exists in a finite time frame. What you do after and what you do before, like, these are two things that you have control over, that makes it so that the world isn't always the final word when it comes to the violence committed against you. Yes, it may have happened. Yes, it may have happened multiple times. Yes, you may have endured years of it in one way or another. Yes, it may have taken an enormous toll. It may have taken so much of what you had to give to the world and left you with so little to survive on. Yes, that might have been true, but the violence exists in a time frame that is finite. The effects of the violence is something that you can actively participate in the healing process of, and therefore there's an undoing of that power over you that you participate in by believing that this action with yourself can lead to healing. It's and that's, like, you know, if that's hard to say when we feel really powerless, when we have been, you know, at the disadvantage, that she's saying that womankind, sisterhood kind, and she's saying that as if it's mankind. That's like, the sentiment is mankind and sister kind, but we're saying sister kind, you know, like brotherly love, sisterly love, womankind. There's a call to take back your power around stories. What is status? It's a story about where people belong. What is power? It's a story about who has it and who doesn't, and why. Yes, we can change the world by telling a new story, but we change our world by telling a new story first. And then it's contagious. And that's what you have the power to do. And so, you know, what this mermaid is coming through to say is two things. You know, there is a system of justice. It's brutal. It's horrendous. Karma operates outside of time. So if you don't understand how it operates and how you're a part of it and how other people are a part of it, then you don't understand. But ultimately, you know, you participating in your own healing is releasing everybody else. It's releasing the way for everybody else too, and being responsible to take that healing so seriously as to ensure that it happens for yourself is one of the mothering magic staples that you need to take with you everywhere that you go. She says the healer learns to heal by healing themselves. So if you're a healer, you've had to heal yourself in a lot of ways. You've had to learn healing from every direction imaginable, and you've had to learn how to heal in desperation, because there's going to be people coming to you who need healing in desperation. And so when you put yourself out there and offer your gifts, you better be ready to be responsible to hold them in power. And that means divesting in any faith you have that you can be overcome, because you can be hurt, but you can't be overcome. And you may have been overcome before, but you're still standing, so no, you haven't been. Now, the world is a scary place, but when you believe that you're more powerful and that your healing power is more powerful, when you believe in that, when you put your faith in that, there's very little that can change the fact that you're a self-healer and that nothing can hurt you for very long, because you're just going to heal it. And so this mermaid's really, like, you know, actually in a very bold way inviting you to flirt with the idea of your own power by considering the fact that anything that anyone ever did to you is mitigated by the level of your giftedness and you being able to actively participate in healing yourself so completely that you learn how to heal other people, and, you know, and saving your world and saving the world around you. This is what this mermaid says, in terms of, like, she's basically coming in and saying, like, this is a system of oppression that has me gagged too. Belief has to be what? Who determines what can be believed and what can't be believed? What energies can be interacted with and can't be interacted with? Who determines that operating, you know, through the faculty in your mind that is the imagination, the part of you that dreams, and your pineal gland that connects you to your higher self? Who determines that you're not allowed to pray? or that you're not allowed to pray in that way. Again, it's you. And so when we change our perspective and we come to a place of power with this idea of the placebo effect and faith, and how we can use this spiritual technology outside of religious dogma and control, we begin to take that power back and we begin to shape the world with it. And that's what you're being called to do. And so this mermaid really is like coming to say, like, you're the group that's going to defeat the devil. You're the group that's going to prove that it can be done by sheer force of belief, by the power of your faith, and by the authority that you invest in knowing your own self and your own power, seeing the true you, and releasing the allegiances you have with all of the spells that have been placed over you to say that you can't do anything. Because that's not true. You're capable of a great deal, and it's probably going to be a process. But once you learn how to purge and renew, and purge and renew, and purge and renew, it's a superpower. And you already have it in spades. And so, you know, this is the encouragement for this group is like, I know that you're tired. You know, I know that you don't want to keep fighting anymore. So don't put it down. What happens if you can't do X, Y, and Z? Well, what's the part of the story that you have an influence over, and what can you use in the way of technology of your faith in order to sort of experiment with an idea that you are empowered to do something. It's a little bit like the hard part of uncovering our capacity, you know, to create, uncovering our magic. The hard part of it is challenging what stops it from coming forth. I love how we get a mermaid with every single one of these readings, because cleansing, yeah, this is a good little piece of advice that's come in. Some of this stuff is like so powerful. Expression and passion with courage on the bottom of the deck. And I love, of course, this whole reading inspired very much by this beautiful energy. So when we talk about what it is to divest in the structures that control with, we're talking about clearing yourself. You're so fast to clear yourself of everybody's yucky energy as it sort of like, you know, floats by. But clearing yourself of concepts of inferiority, clearing yourself of the spell of being weak, clearing yourself of the spell of being sick, clearing yourself of the spell of being powerless. You know, we're not preaching ableism. Like there's this way in which your magic is going to be unique to your unique abilities, which are going to be different than everyone else's and are going to express in a different way than everybody else's. But everyone has magic that they create from, and like that technology of faith that can move mountains. And so this energy is saying this group is capable of moving mountains. And so this energy saying like, so I'm going to yell at you about it, you know, because cleanse yourself of the limiting beliefs. Cleanse yourself of the limiting beliefs by expressing otherwise, by allowing yourself to feel otherwise, express otherwise, identify otherwise, find stories around otherwise. Create an ending to every story that you feel justifies the process that you endured. And if you can't get there on your own, enlist help. And if you can't enlist help, then there's something going on that is an investment in a story where there's helplessness. Because in the same way that there may have been helplessness before, cleansing yourself from limiting beliefs, expressing power, feeling it coming from some place. Here's what it is. If you believe that there's help, that's where the technology of faith is really important to understand. If you believe that you can be helped, you can be helped, even if it's not immediately apparent. And so like, I'm going to end this reading with a story, embarrassing story about myself. I think I got like nearly ripped off, like when something happened with my car rental, where I almost got ripped off by like $200. And it was just like a close call. And then I ended up like praying like fervently. Like I was like, Archangel Zadkiel, like what the heck, how would this person like steal from me? Like I don't understand like how a company could do this. And I was sort of kind of yelling at my guides, being like, you know, like, I guess you can't help me, you know what I mean? With little things that, you know, should be like, you know, just easy for, you know, something of angel-like status to fix. Like, you know, I got really mad. And the angel came back and was just like, why don't you place your faith in your ability to be helped? And I was like, sure, fine, even though I already talked to the person and there's like no point, right? So I did this. I adjusted my attitude and I said, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to get the money back directly. It'll have to come from somewhere else, but I can have faith that I can be helped. I can have faith that I can be compensated, and I can watch that faith reveal itself to me in you know, watch the power of what I believe actually placebo. Let myself be placeboed. Let's see how the placebo works with this. Let's do a little placebo, you know, convincing myself that I can be helped. Well, later I like figured I might as well call the phone number, the 800 number, you know, the parent company. I called, I talked to someone, they refunded me. My belief in my ability to help led to my being willing to even make the call to ask somebody else. And so like, it's as simple as the technology of faith working in sense of like, if I believe that that was the end of the road and it's just injustice, and that person told me no at that dealership, and I didn't call the 800 number believing that someone could actually help me, like we cut ourselves off. And so this is a goddess who's coming through to say, listen, you know, you're important, and the passion and what you have to bring into this world is important. Get on the right track with it. Make sure you're coming from the right place in terms of your motive. And there's nothing that will stop you. When conviction hits desire, hits belief, when your faith is backed by conviction, you are motivated and there's nothing stopping you. When that conviction is connected to desire, there is a reward system in place that makes nothing else matter. You know, the act of doing is rewarding in and of itself. And so this is really, you know, what we're being told to step into in seeing ourselves clearly, is seeing ourselves as powerful and then creating from that power. So I'm going to leave it there. I want to read, of course I like through the book so far. Let me just grab it. I didn't mean to throw it, but I put it on like an unstable table corner and it flipped. So I'm going to read this to those of you that want to like stick around for a minute. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read a paragraph. I usually don't like when people read things to me with these readings, but I'm just going to do it because it's been very synchronistic. And so I kind of wanted to end with the paragraph from here and a paragraph from there. So 29. That got heated for a minute. But that's the thing. Like, this mermaid is like, her anger is refreshing. It's like delightful. It doesn't sting. I'm not flinching from it. And so there's like anger with authority. And again, finding your inner authority is basically what we're talking about here. A power story is finding your inner authority, finding that place in you that no matter what they do, there's always going to be a fuck it with you. You know what I mean? You're always going to get to that point where you're going to survive no matter what. And the story that you tell about yourself, you know, when we place the power in it and the alchemy of that and what that does in terms of your faith, like, again, this is all just something that you're being invited to participate in because you're going to, you're walking away from this devil energy. So I'm going to read this one. Seeing the true you. I'm going to read the first paragraph. Sometimes we believe what others tell us we are, as though the self we see reflected back to us through their eyes is truth. Yet the accuracy of a reflection depends on the clarity of that which is doing the reflecting. If the receiver forms any opinion about what is perceived, then what is reflected back to us will, at best, be distorted. It is not necessarily through ill will. It is just the mechanics of the situation. Even the moon reflects the sun in varying degrees of fullness and clarity. We can learn something of the nature of the sun from the moon, but not as much as through direct perception. I'm going to read one more paragraph. I think it's going somewhere good. This oracle has come to you because you have been putting rather too much faith in the reflections others have of you, to the point that you might not be honoring all that you are and all that you are becoming, because you believe too little of yourself. So, I love when the reading confirms the reading, but yeah, that's basically it. I'm going to read one paragraph from this other one because I think that these are doing a better job than I am. But Yeah, this mermaid is saying, you know, you're ready to leave this behind. So to have courage. Let's see, the courage card is right over here. You're with the World card and with the Six of Cups being about this childhood stuff, you know, you're ready to create a story of your life that the child you would be proud of. You're ready to start to fully participate in the adult life of your dreams, you know, and what it means to build that for the you that you are through all time and space. And that's the you that's walking around as a 5-year-old right now somewhere too. You're creating for them this world, this new chapter. You know, you're walking away from this energy that says you need somebody else. You need salvation. That means that on your own, you're not good enough. But this energy is kind of challenging that, saying divest in that. You are all powerful. And just play with it. You know, play with a position that says that you're not at the mercy of every strong wind. Because even if that's, you know, a physical or a financial reality, the placebo effect has been proven to heal in ways that defy expectation, and so true can be true of what faith can do for your life. And that is including the package deal of throwing out the dogma, because the person who heals from the sugar pill doesn't believe anything about God. Their belief is in medicine, or it wouldn't have worked. So think about how that technology can be useful for you. Ask yourself if you're using it in a way that it makes sense, and, you know, begin to move from there. So let me read this last little bit and then we're going to close out. It is time to hold onto yourself and let go of another, even if just for a time. You have gained all that was meant to be from that connection, at least for now. You have given and you have received. The need to let go does not deny the value of what has been acquired. It is more that the time has come for greater productivity, creativity, abundance, and consciousness in your life. I'm going to read one little more paragraph. You have completed many cycles in the vibrational frequency of consciousness that you are now being asked to release. You have been in that vibrational frequency for some time now. You have earned the right to step out of that frequency, out of the habits, relationships, and the possibilities that are limited to that old, outmoded frequency. It is now time to expand into higher frequencies of experience that will bring enhanced love, empowerment, and peace into your life. You will take the wisdom of what you have learned with you into something new. New connections, new relationships, new experiences, and a higher turn of the spiral of life. What does it mean to higher the frequency? Some people say it. I don't know that they all explain it. Pull yourself out of stink, like, you know, it's, my dad says this, and it's, I think it's AA lingo. Change the story. Stinking thinking is a vibration. You know, the story that you tell holds a certain vibration. Are you telling that story to yourself and others often enough to hold the vibration of it? Get rid of that story's vibration by telling a story that holds a different vibration. That's how you move the vibration. Move the story into a different feeling state. That feeling state of doom, gloom, despair, and it's endlessly awful. And that's not everybody, you know, just sometimes we just get there. It's like our monthly, like, ego, death, and rebirth. Like, we talked about that a little bit in the first part. You know, basically what this angel mermaid, goddess, is saying, you can be free of all this stuff. And you're encouraged to believe and have faith that energies would support you in the process of purging some of this devil stuff out of your, out of what you empower from and what you put your faith in. Take your faith out. It's a little bit of a process, but you're going to get there. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that. I hope that was helpful. I hope it was coherent. I'm going to put it up and listen to it myself, and I'll see you guys again soon.